What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Bees coming at you with another old school RuneScape guide, and today we're going to be looking at a beginner's guide to Zulrah. The requirements for this guide are going to be that you have a Trident and at least a rune crossbow. There is methods to get your first kill count with just an Ivan staff, but I think it's really tedious and I didn't want to make a guide about that. So for this guide, you are going to have 87 Slayer and a Trident to get started, but if you have that, this guide will help you get your foot in the door whether you want your one kill count for the diary or you want to start grinding the boss efficiently to start getting towards your blowpipe and your toxic trident or your serpent. Zulrah has 4 phases or types of Zulrahs. You have the green one, which uses range attacks, so if you pray range you're good. It is weak to magic attacks from you. Then you have the red one, which uses a typeless attack, so you can't pray against it, but you can dodge the attacks by just moving around, and it is also weak to mage. And you have the blue one, which is sometimes referred to as the magic phase of Zulrah because it primarily is supposed to use the magic attack, but as you'll find out, it does use range also really randomly, and sometimes it will just mess you up. But that one is weak to range, so we will use our rune crossbow on that and use a trident on the other phases. Then there's also the final phase of Zulrah, which is commonly referred to as the Jad phase, although that is kind of a misnomer, and I think it is illy labeled because it is predictable. It's more like a hybrid where it will start with range and then go magic, range, or vice versa, start magic, go range, magic, and you just change your prayer back and forth and you take no damage from it. The gear we're going to bring your best magic gear as well as your best range gear. I try and limit it to about a 4-way switch, so I bring the Slayer helm even off task because it gives offensive bonuses to range and magic, which a lot of people don't realize. For the shield and boot slot, we're going to want to use magic attack damage items because we will attack using magic for 3 out of the 4 phases, whereas we only range the blue phase, so we want to maximize our mage DPS. In our inventory, you can see I have rings of recoil because there's snakelings that have 1 HP that will attack you throughout the fight. So the recoils will take care of those. And then you also see an RD cape. The box with no item in it in the inventory is for your Draman staff. That is the method we're going to use is the fairy rings if you have 76 agility. If you do not have 76 agility, we're going to use a different method, and so your inventory will look like this. And instead, we're going to charter ships in Camelot, so you need to have either teleport tabs to Cami or teleport tabs to your house if you have a Camelot portal inside your house, and then you'll just teleport to there and you'll charter a ship to Port Tyrus and you'll run south, and it's pretty efficient as well, just a little bit slower than the fairy rings. For both setups, we're going to want a dual ring in our inventory because we're going to utilize the Pharaoh's Enclave to recharge our stats and health and run energy after each kill. And then you'll notice my rune pouch, which has Cosmics, Law Runes, and Astral Runes in it. We are going to be on the Lunar Spellbook, and we will use the Cure Me spell for this method that I'm going to teach you to take care of the venom, because we're not going to have anti-venom potions, and this way we don't have to clutter our inventory with anti-poisons that'll take away from our food. The method that I like to use to deal with anti-venom is to not cure it all the way, but what we're going to do is just throughout the fight when we get venom, we'll just click our HP once and that'll make it down to a poison rather than a venom, so it doesn't scale up and damage us more, because venom starts off hitting 6 and then goes to 8, 10, 12, all the way up to 20, whereas poison will just stay at 6 damage consistently throughout the fight. So we're going to take our venom down to a poison and leave it there. We don't have to clear it. It'll just take too much time and runes and effort. The last little tidbit before we get started on how to actually kill the boss that you need to know is the first time you go there, you need to talk to the High Priestess in order to sacrifice yourself. I believe is the dialogue they use in order to fight Zulrah. After you do it the first time, you don't have to do it again. This is also the area where you will collect your gear. If you die, make sure you right-click the person on the dock to receive it. Don't click on them because you might accidentally send yourself into Zulrah's lair, and you don't want to do that unarmed. Zulrah has 4 rotations that you can see on the screen, and it looks intimidating when you're trying to learn it, and a lot of people struggle to learn it because they try and learn them all at the same time. What I recommend and what I'm going to teach you is how to learn one at a time. The one we are going to learn first is in the bottom left. This one is called the range phase commonly because basically the way Zulrah works is the first thing you see when you enter the room is always going to be Zulrah on the green phase, and then what it changes to immediately after that one determines the rest of the rotations. So if it becomes range, you're in the range phase. If it becomes melee, there's 2 melee rotations seen on top, and then if it goes to mage, as seen in the bottom right, that is the mage phase. The one we are going to always get, because I'm going to teach you how, is the range phase. And so the reason we want this one is because it has a nice combination of minimal blue phases, so less damage to you, as well as a maximum amount of green and red phases, so you're going to be able to use your Trident the most, which does the most damage to Zulrah. Once you learn this one and get more comfortable, you can start expanding and learning more of the phases, and eventually you'll learn all 4, and you won't have to rotation snipe, which then makes it much more casual and relaxing, and you start to just grind it out and get higher and higher kill count. The last thing you need to know before entering Zulrah's shrine is that the max hit of Zulrah is 41, and the only one that should hit you with that is the blue phase, because it can use range and mage at random times. Everything else is predictable and avoidable with prayer and movements. The other thing that will damage you is venom clouds, which you should be able to avoid with moving around and being in the right position at the right time, which will just kind of come naturally as you learn the boss better and better. The other thing that will damage you is the snakelings, which use magic and melee attack styles. So don't really worry about those because your recoil should take care of them. Just make sure you always have a recoil on that is charged before you get into the shrine, and usually a recoil should last you an entire fight, if not 2 fights. And then the other thing is that if you do not kill Zulrah by the time it is finished with its rotation, it'll restart with a new rotation, which, as you're learning, if you're only learning one rotation, it might choose a rotation you don't know yet. You're just going to have to kind of freestyle it, so I recommend keeping the image of all the rotations up in case it does go into a rotation you don't know after the initial rotation is over, and then hopefully you'll be able to proactively respond and still get the kill. Once you're ready to go, use whatever method you are planning on using to get there. If you're using the fairy rings, the code is BJS, which obviously stands for Big Giant Snake. Then jump the shortcut and head over to the dock. If you're taking the chartered ship, just run south and also get yourself to the dock. Every time you enter Zulrah, it's going to be the same. You're going to run to the northeast and you're going to start hitting the boss with your trident. Then once this one goes down, it'll determine the rotation. Either a green, blue, or red snake will be the next thing you see. If it is blue or red, just simply log out. It'll then log you back in at the dock and you can restart and try again. If you get the green one, then you're in the correct rotation that we're trying to learn and we're going to send it. This is way more tedious than just trying to go right away, but you're going to have much greater success when learning the boss and much more consistent kills. Once we get the rotation we want, we're going to quick put on Protect from range and then start attacking the boss. There is a little bit of a delay from when the boss pops up to when you can actually attack it, so make sure that you do attack it, rather than if you click it right away and then space off, you will just miss a whole rotation of not doing any damage to it. It's pretty annoying, but you will get used to it as you go. Then for the melee that we now see, we're going to run around to the other side so we can stay safe from the venom clouds. Attack it as you go. When you're learning, if you don't feel comfortable, just get to safety. For the red phase, what's going to happen is it's going to look at you, so you're going to run to where it's not looking, keep attacking it. It'll then look at you unless you click too early like I did, but if it's looking one way, you want to be on the other spot. For the mage, I like to have Protect from Mage in my best range attack bonus prayer as my quick prayer, so I can just click my quick prayer and then start attacking the boss. This one, if it uses the range attack, just get ready to eat, because it can hit up to 41s and that kind of sucks and it can stack you out. So do eat if you need to on that one. Otherwise, try and only eat when you're moving or when the boss is moving. That way you're maximizing your DPS. And then you're going to just kind of start moving from left to right across the island, because the boss kind of does. You'll get in the flow of things eventually. You know, use magic attack for most things, but use range attack for the blue phase. And then there is a downtime on this rotation where it only sits out venom clouds. If you want to cure your venom all the way, you can. It's a good time to eat if you need to and just do as much damage as possible. And then the other thing that you're going to see in a little bit is if you don't want to take damage from one of the blue phases, you can actually hide behind the pillar until it's done attacking, which I do. That is purely just to show you it is possible. And if you look up a guide that is mage only for your 1 kill count, you can actually hide from every single blue phase. It just takes forever and is really annoying, and I don't recommend it. The big thing with the Jad phase, which you're about to see, is if it spawns on the east, you pray mage first. If it spawns on the west, you pray range first. With the range rotation, it's always going to spawn on the east, so we're going to pray mage first. Every time it bows is when I will change my prayer, or when I see the projectile. Just make sure you change the prayer As long as you're above 45 HP, the snakelings are not going to kill you, so don't worry about the damage you're taking from them. Focus on the boss and do as much damage as possible. After that, if you haven't killed it yet, is when it's going to start to kind of freestyle. So just react accordingly. Use range attack on the blue phase, use mage attack on everything else. Pray accordingly, move away from venom clouds, and just try and get that kill. Once you get the kill, you're going to tally out to Pharaoh's Enclave and repeat. That's all I have for you for this guide. I hope it was helpful and helps you get your foot in the door in Zulrah so that you can grind it out, get your 1 kill count, and then eventually get all the uniques from it and progress your account or have some fun. If you're a normal account, just trying to make some money from the money snake, although it is nerfed. The 3 biggest takeaways I have from you is number 1, remember that Zulrah's maxed as a 41 with the mage phase, so don't die to that if you get stacked out by multiple range attacks coming from the blue phase. Number 2, remember to keep your venom in check, keep it at a poison as much as possible so that you're not taking excess damage from that. It's unnecessary and will take away all your food and really limit how many kills you can get. And number 3, remember to eat and drink potions as you're moving or as the boss is moving so that you can maximize your DPS, because the longer the fight goes, because you miss DPS, the harder it becomes to get the kill count. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe. I'm going to make more beginner guides, mostly oriented towards Ironman. Although if you are a normal account, you're probably going to get some benefit from these guides as well. Leave me some constructive criticism. I always read the comments and I take them into consideration. I am still new at making these guides and I'm trying to get better. And so I hope to be making more very soon. Goodbye.